Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. AMRIT, the water, the universal divine solvent, the source of immortal biology. Now, this is a symbol of water, H2O, and the drop as such, and this is the divine solvent. Now, the descent of nectar water, as mentioned in Rig Veda, is statement given very clear. That means there is a nectar in water and there is medication in water. That means everything which is required in mortality, whether it's the medicine form or the nectar form, is water alone. This is one of the greatest statements I have ever known, but I wonder whether anybody knows that Amrit is actually water alone. Then come to Brihad Anarkya Upanishad of Maharishi Yajnavalkya. In the first chapter 2.2, he says, Apo va arak tat yat apam sara achit. That means water is like essence, ark, essence. And then everything originates from water only. And that is the greatest statement I know, that it is the water which came from the universe and came to the earth, and from primordial ocean, Sagar Manthan, or Samudra Manthan, all the biological life started in saline water of ocean only. That is the greatest statement which I want everybody to understand. Now comes the question of descent of elements. Now what Rigveda talks about, Indra, the king of God, is water and rain god, is very clear. Indra is the king of gods and is water and rain, whereas Daksha is the king and he is, you can call it hydrogen or you can call it Aditya, or the one from which everything is originated. But when it comes to Indra, which is ruling, it is water and rain god. It is not the one from which everything is originated. Indra is a manifestation later, whereas Daksha is the beginning itself. Now, with thunder, lightning and rain, all the essential elements came down from the cosmos to the ocean. That is the biggest statement of Rigveda itself. They were all created in the universe and they came down with water alone. So water is an essence in which everything is possible, and that's it. My pilgrimage to Amarnath cave as a child gave me the understanding of the beauty of water itself. There is ice lingam of Lord Shiva represents solid water. When Agni, which is center of Rigveda, is removed, then water becomes liquid form and further temperature is reduced. You come to the minus degrees, it becomes solid ice. Less than 0 degree, it is solid. After that, melting liquid, then hot heat, it is Agni, and more heat, it is Vayu, and much more heat of 1600 degrees centigrade, it becomes Akash. And everything in the earth, in the universe, and entire everything centers around water only. So the essence is water. All the Panch Koshas are in water, from Akash Kosh to the Vayu Kosh to Agni Kosh to Apa Kosh to Prithvi Kosh. And once this is understood, I think, and I'm glad that I had the pleasure and privilege of watching this solid form of Shivling, which again represents 22/7, the pi alone. And listening to the story of the creation of the whole universe by Lord Shiva to Parvati, two pigeons which were there also become immortal. That means the whole beauty of immortality lies in water story alone, and that too, listening to that itself, you become immortal. I think that's a beautiful example over there. Now the picture of Lord Amarnath, Tantra Vidya I learnt there, Gyan, Vigyan, Pragyan, Akhandata, everything over there. Second thing, I also had a pleasure of living in Martan Surya temple near Pahalgam, and there is a beautiful temple and there is a pond there. That means what is solid form in Shivling in Amarnath becomes water there. But when the water, what is most important there, I found there are fish over there. It's a fish pond. I still remember very clearly fish traveling there, and incidentally fish is considered to be my Kuldevti. We are supposed to believe that fish taught us how to start, whether all the evolution starts from fish alone and fish is accepted, and from there we have gone on to the 10th Disa as a Matsya Avatar to that. I think that is also very clear understanding of 10th stage of development from fish to Kalki, and also solid, ice to water to Agni to Vayu to Akash, everything clearly. And that is the knowledge which I think has taught me that Rig Veda, Upanishads and the scriptures are very clear, 1,000 times ahead of the modern science. Modern science sees only three states of matter: solid, water and gases, whereas ancient Indian Akhand Bharat yogis, rishis thought of five: and Prithvi, Apa, water; Agni, the fire; Vayu, the air, and essence. Now comes the question of Akhand Bharat, and I call Akhand Sindhu Bharat as such because we are surrounded by water in this particular element, and so abundance that everything is possible only in Akhand Bharat. And that Akhand Bharat, you can see, it is Mount Sarovar from which Sindhu river comes, and from there it goes north, then goes west, and then comes down to the Arabian Sea on one side. Similarly, from that side Brahmaputra comes back to literally come to Bay of Bengal, and surrounded by Mahasindhu down Arabian Sea, these three seas, and top we are surrounded by that including Himalayas. So solid element to the water to Agni to Vayu to Akash, everything centered on that. And that's where I learned the divine design of nature is there. If you want to understand the whole concept, you got to be surrounded by water around, and solid form Himalayas, water form Vayu, rain, energy, everything is there in this, including Kailash Parvat. You can see helium also there shower as such. I don't think any other place has so much of concentration, the divine energy from A to Z in one place. But Akhand Bharat, Akhand Sindhu Bharat, where I call it Sindhu because you are surrounded by Sindhu on top as well down, everything is same. And I think that makes me understand how beautiful is Akhand Bharat. Now comes the question, universe of home. And Shiv Bhushan Sharma makes it very clear. The human body comprises of atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, cells and 10 tissue organs. And human beings are microcosmic, represent macrocosmic universe. Everything of the entire universe can be found within the human body itself. And that is impeccable wisdom, and that is Aham Brahmasmi, I am like the divine consciousness. Any person who is a perfect human being in tune with universal consciousness can see the entire universe within themselves, and I am privileged to have done that ever since my childhood till today. No wonder I am the first person in the history of mankind who has recognized, conceived and revealed the design of nature for the first time in the history of mankind as the Devyank, which is 22 by 21 to the power of 10.34419, and given also the most approximate decimal value of the divine golden ratio itself for the first time in the history of mankind. Now come to the question of, we are talking of the chemistry, the divine design of nature, elemental chemistry as such, which I talked about it. Now comes to the Divyank is the essence of the whole thing, which I have talked about it as a divine mathematical number and the symbol. Now the spiritual science, the divine example of chemistry, I am going to explain you step by step as such. Now comes to the question of divine periodic table, talks of the hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, three main elements, and of course from there methane, water and carbon dioxide. Methane I have already explained as Kamadhenu, water as Amrit, I am explaining it, and carbon dioxide as Prakriti I am going to explain tomorrow. And I think whole thing is understand, and of course along with that you can understand the first divine soul or indwelling human soul is helium-4. So hydrogen, helium, carbon, oxygen, methane, water and carbon dioxide, these are the 7 things which are very important, like the 7 periods itself. We are going to see everything step by step to know how divine mathematics works. There is a consistency in the universe. Now, as I told you, the first thing, hydrogen, the sun. Second thing, quality of sun and hydrogen I have explained in this is the most abundant element. And second abundant element is helium, which is Aditi Antaratma, which has come from the sun to us. And the presentation of this is also universal, is a number 2 in the universe. Primarily, this is true in the central gaseous state. There are 3 times. I'm going to show you as such. You will see that beautiful there. Then come to the sixth element of carbon is the Lord Shiva, a dissolution, and Vibhuti and ash represents carbon, because everything starts from carbon, is maintained by carbon and goes. Inorganic chemistry to organic chemistry is only the carbon is the integrating factor, along with hydrogen, oxygen and other elements as we move on. Now fourth is carbon as an organic matter. Now the eighth element instantly is oxygen, Ashtabhujadhari. Mata Vaishnavi Agnibhuta is the second thing which is very, very important. And third greatest thing is oxygen. Hydrogen, helium, oxygen and carbon comes as the fourth element. Now come to the question of methane is the first gas which are produced by nature with 1 carbon and 4 hydrogen with the power of 10 protons. That's the whole thing started, and from there the development of methane plus oxygen put together to produce carbon dioxide. I think that very distinct point of Prakriti. The nature had developed itself with 22 state protons of carbon dioxide. Methane plus oxygen to carbon dioxide and the water is the very concept of the universe to start with. No wonder water is called the nectar, essence for every level. And that is the water. I have spoken about it, and I am making one point very clear. There are 10 protons. The percentage of water in the universe, on the earth, human body and the human cell is 61.8034%. That is the infinity number, and this is what is written, and everything, the water of this percentage is there in the human body. You will be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. You will have perfect homeostasis. You will have no difficulty at all. Now comes the question of churning of primordial ocean is the biological started life in warm waters of ocean. All the requirements of life came from biology and that ocean itself. The process of rising element is a sagar manthar, a samudra manthar, a churning of ocean. I think that is again a statement which is very, very vital, that everything was regained from the ocean step by step. Now comes to the question isn't the descent Akash Ganga. I am going to talk about it. You can see Akash Ganga on top and how it comes down to make life very, very comfortable for everyone on the earth, and how water is most important divine solvent which nature designed for the first time. This is the only thing in which everything can dissolve as such, except few exceptions. We will not talk about it now. Now come to question Sagar Manthan again. Long back the gods and demons decided to work in unison, get AMRIT, immortal nectar from the ocean. Now I am making it, AMRIT is water alone. They tied snake around the mountain and started churning the primordial ocean. And during churning many essential objects appeared one by one. And many of things which I have already explained, but now let me talk about water Amrit, which is one of the part which was the prime concept of both gods and demons put together achieving, and that is water. Now I am going to give another example of descent of Akash Ganga as a subsequent at a later date to prove it, that it is water which is essential for life. Without water there is no life at all, neither in plant kingdom not in animal kingdom. Both essential is water, water and water, and that is Amrit, that is Ark, that is essence, that is everything. This one I am trying to confirm it very clearly. According to the legend, the sons of King Sagar, the great grandfather of King Bhagirath, the king of Ayodhya, were defeated in a battle by Indra. the king of gods, and put under suspended animation in Patal Lok, the nether world. Somehow no one could revive the unconscious persons. King was advised to request goddess Akash Ganga to come down to Mother Earth and revive the unconscious persons. Somehow the three generations of King Sagar failed to bring goddess Akash Ganga down. Finally, King Bhagirath, with severe penance, succeeded in persuading goddess Akash Ganga to come down to the earth. Meanwhile, God Akasha and King Bhagirath to request Lord Shiva to hold her in her matted hair to avoid deluge and destruction of Mother Earth. Lord Shiva agreed to do the needful. Meantime, goddess Akash Ganga landed in his matted hair. Lord Shiva released a stream from the head. With the water of Ganga, the ancestors of King Bhagirath was revived. Is this a myth, the mythology, fiction, or hidden impeccable wisdom? And that is what I am going to show you now. This is not a story, it is the greatest wisdom to be understood and used in life to be a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy being. Now this is a picture of penance, a king. This is it in Mahabalipuram, where you can see Bhagirath doing penance to bring Akash Ganga down. This is a beautiful picture in old carving in Mahabalipuram near Chennai. Now this is a picture by an artist which shows the Ganga is coming down. Shiva is with the matted waiting, Parvati on one side, Bhagirath on the other thing. Is a beautiful concept in the graphic form. The story's formation in a graphic presentation are idol itself. And this is what I want everybody to appreciate. The entire wisdom of the entire universe I've been able to see in the divine mathematics, and all the pictures and the description in Ved, in Sanskrit as such. I think that has to be understood for the world. The wisdom was there in the universe, in stories, and also the graphic presentation by Akhand Bharat artists. Now come to the question. Another picture I am going to show, the same picture which I had shown, put in the thumbnail, is the same picture. This is in a black and white, that is colorful. But in this you can see the Akash Ganga coming down on the head of Lord Shiva, then flowing on both the sides as equal as a shivling as such. That's a picture, I like it very much. Water is falling on the head, and then you see the water falling on both sides, and the form shape is shivling only, and that is what I said in Amarnath cave is the same shivling I am talking about, where it becomes like a solid. Water is becoming solid, and that is shivling, and that is 22 by 7. 11 by 7 on top you can see, 11 by 7 is underneath the ground which you cannot see. That is the beauty of shivling itself and also Akhand Bharat itself. Same thing in 1992, I had the pleasure of making this particular picture of Shiv and Shakti. But in this picture you can see the face is a female, and male part on the right side is equivalent to 38.1966%, whereas female part is 61.800. And in this particular thing you can see very clearly that Ganga water is not on the right side, it's on the left side. That is what I said, Sindhu. It comes from Akash, Kailash, Mansarovar layer. From there that Sindhu comes, goes north, then goes west, and then comes down to Arabian Sea. It's exactly the picture which is there. And mind you, it's 92. Of course, after initiation, but I think the wonderful thing to do, this is how. But in this picture also you can see a bowl with water around on the right side. I think that is amazing. That's what I feel, when you are in tune with universal consciousness, you are following Aditi, dwelling consciousness, things automatically happen the way they should happen. I think this is a beautiful example that you flow with your inner consciousness, be truthful, honest, everything. Enjoy the bliss of unfolding knowledge which Aditi or Antaratma or Kundalini can give it to you. Only pure people who are pure vegetarian, do not drink, do not smoke, do not do anything which is against the human consciousness, will be a perfect one. And I am glad, having done that, I am enjoying it. Now comes the question of water is from the universal coming down to the water. and this is what picture is. And now we are going to see there are 10 variables of homeostasis, very important, and I am going to talk about it. Only water content is 61.80, blood volume is 5 liters, blood sugar is 100 mg, and there are all 10 parameters which I have described, and once these are maintained you will be perfectly healthy, but provided water content is 61.8034. Unfortunately declines as you grow older, much easier in the younger age group. Now comes the question of concentration of water content. There is solid element is 38.16, water is 61.8. The intracellular is the water content which is 61.80, and that's it. Extracellular is 38.1. That this is divided into two components: interstitial fluid and intravascular or plasma as such. Plasma and thing is outside the cell, which is 38.9, and inside is 61.1. This is under, and this is a picture of scientists as such to show intracellular and extracellular. Extracellular inside the blood and outside the blood, outside the cell. Now the effect of saline water and red blood cell is also very clear. Normal concentration of RBC will not change. High concentration RBCs will shrink. Very high concentration of water content, they will break, and lined where RBC have is 61 point water, and if the concentration goes more than 61.8% water only, they are going to be hypotonic blood and the breakage of RBCs. Only after that, till such time they will be only circular as such. Then now let me talk to you to medical science, the applied divine mathematics of water as such. Now, as I told you, the AMRIT, the pure water, is made of 10 protons. Water can exist in all the 10 states of matter. Water can absorb, release large amount of heat. Body temperature is maintained as a healthy level of 37 degrees Celsius or 98.4 Fahrenheit. Water reacts to form many molecules and compounds. Water is universal carrier and seat of life. This is a statement which I make it very clear as a medical person. Once this is understood, we can understand how beautiful is water. Now come to the question of pure acid base balance can also be seen. Similarly, HOH, H is a positive, OH is negative, and that is where pH comes up, and this is where the water tension, the surface tension is released. As a result, even spider can walk on water because of surface tension created by polar bonds of water as such. I think that's another beautiful thing in water. Now, the medical science is dehydration causes and treatment. Not drinking enough water increases water to then increase the water intake. Excessive sweating can also lead to dehydration, hot weather and exercises. Vomiting, diarrhea, dehydration, this can be rectified with infusion. Excessive fever, sweating, then you take water intake regularly, you can retain it. Diabetes, diuresis, water infusion can keep it alive, and then alcohol, coffee, diuretic drinks, water intake, all of them can lead to dehydration, and dehydration is the biggest problem in the universe as such, and that is exactly for rectifying the dehydration was Akash Ganga brought down. That is thing, and I think once you understand that, Ved, Upanishad and scriptures tell you finally it is water, water, water which is essential, and that is Indra, that is the ruling process. Now come to the question of aging mechanism. Normal water is 61. With the aging, the percentage water reduces. Fat and lipid gradually replace the water content. Reduce fat and lipid, and this is what the modern science also talks about it. 41 liter, which is 61% in a 70 liter person at the age of 30, comes down to 35 points as you grow older at 70 years. But I am also 70 plus. But in my case, water content is 61.80. Since water cannot be retained as such for a long time, I have not allowed myself to put on fat at all, but I take water at regular intervals to make sure that content is maintained to 61.8034, and that makes me completely vibrant in every way. Finally, if the water content is high, there will not be clot formation, there will not be any problem, you will be absolutely fine. So my advice to, as the people become elderly, don't take anything which is fat, which is going to get deposited and adipose tissue, but take water regularly and maintain your weight to the same thing when you are in 21 years, which I am doing it. As a result, I am experiencing much better health than I would have been like other elderly people. Now the question of this body temperature is 37 degree 94, and this can be maintained by taking water regularly at real concentration, and that is a beautiful science of modern science as such. Now come to the question of reduction of body temperature can also be because that when you have this water, evaporation, radiation, convection, condensation, everything is make sure that you maintain a healthy balance only by taking water to the extent of 61.8034%, and that is a message from me to the world, and that is part of the Divyang, and that is required. Now come to the question of different concentration, how they go about. I'm not going to talk about it, but we can say when water is lost, is a dehydration. It should be replaced by fluid at a regular interval, where water, sodium and salt, all the three are put together, and that will be a perfectly homeostasis by and large. Now the comes to the water element also. Ayurveda makes it very clear. Water is associated with pranamaya kosha. What is made of 61, as I told you. What is associated with kapha dosha. What is associated with muladhara chakra and swadhisthana chakra. There are 5 forms of kaphas, which is tarpa kapha, the cerebral spinal fluid in the brain. Shleshka kapha, the lubricating fluid of the joints. Kleda, the gastrointestinal fluid of digestion. Bodhika, the saliva in mouth for taste, perception and digestion. Avalancha, the periodal. All these 5 states of water in different parts of body should be maintained. For that you need to make sure that your water content in the body is 61, otherwise there could be depletion in one part or other. As a result, you could suffer from many of the health issue problems. If you want to avoid, remember these 5 kasha and keep the water content to 61.8034% and understand Divyang, and you will be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy by and large. Now coming to this picture, I am not going to talk about, I think enough for the day. Thank you very much.